Welcome to the Total Release Podcast, where we help you let go of all those things that are holding you back to help you multiply what really matters in life. Today, we're talking about something we're all struggling with sometimes, and sometimes we need to really address. What is that? Valuable relationships. Oh, yeah. Today, we're going to dive in and talk a little bit about it. Let's go. So let's talk about that event. You know, the one that you didn't plan, the one that changed your entire relationship with somebody. Maybe it was that event that you went to and you was like, I don't want to go to this event. You told your wife, you told your husband, you told your children, I'm not going, right? I remember feeling that way not too long ago, right? Went to an event and you know what? It wasn't that bad at all. Had a chance to run into some people I hadn't seen in a long time. And the conversation actually led to healing that I needed at that point in time in my life. I've actually had events where I went and I didn't want to go, and it was the opposite. Maybe there was somebody there that needed me, and I've had that situation. And you know what? I thought about it. What if I did not go? That person that I remember connecting with, they were in a real bad slump at the time, and just our connection, our conversation literally changed everything. Recently, I had a chance to attend a funeral out of state. That funeral was somebody special, but I remember thinking it's not the right time because it happened so quickly. It was like I found out on Friday and the funeral was on Monday, and I had to fly to the East Coast. And yeah, at last minute, nothing's cheap. The last minute, nothing's planned, but it's all divine. Getting on that plane and taking that trip literally has changed my life. I didn't only just reconnect with the people that I hadn't seen, many of them in over a decade, some of them 2 decades, since the late 90s, some of them, early 2000s. It was a reunion like no other. It was a gathering of some of the people that really had impacted my life, in my late 20s, early 20s, mid 20s. And these people, when I saw them, it was just like we hadn't missed a beat. And the conversations led to people's businesses actually being reignited. It led to people's family, being reunited. It led to people who I hadn't talked to on a regular. Now we're talking every single Wednesday. You know what I mean? And so I'm just thinking, like, if I hadn't have gone or made the sacrifice. And you know what? When you think about that, it's about letting go where you're comfortable so that you can go be uncomfortable. If I hadn't have made that decision to go be uncomfortable, then the change that I was already seeking after probably wouldn't be right now. And so I'm grateful for that. And so you got to think about it, right? We all have these moments in life, right? And I want to share with you some points, right? Some key points that I've discovered and did some homework on. I realized that restoration often comes through disruption, right? One of my mentors from afar says that disruption follows intention. Myron Golden, he says disruption follows intention, right? And so sometimes you don't even know that the disruption is something that you were already thinking about. You didn't even know that that's where your mind had been focused on. I was already subconsciously thinking about these changes and these rekindling of relationships that I wanted to have in my life anyway. And then an opportunity presented itself so that it could happen. Do we see opportunities when they present themselves? I don't know. Maybe. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I do. But I'm learning now to trust the process and trust when I can tell my gut is telling me something. Go, make it happen. Experience the time, because you never know what's on the other side of it, right? Here's a stat. 72% of people say that life-changing conversations happen during unplanned and informal settings. Think about that. I know you can relate to what I'm talking about. It's happened to all of us, right? Right. Here's another one. Unexpected events remove scripts and walls. That's where vulnerability really enters in. When you got these scripts, it's like you kind of like planning everything out, right? You want everything to be perfect. And really what's happening is you're guarding yourself because you want everything to be perfect. When it doesn't work out, you feel like a failure. But what happens when you let your wall down, let your guard down just for a little bit and go with the flow? Trust your gut instinct. Know that being vulnerable is where, these opportunities lie. And so here it is. In total release, we call these, right, those crack moments. That's when the surface breaks and healing sneaks in, right? You get this crack moment in your life, right? It's like, you feel like you're out of control. You can't manage what you're normally in control of. And then all of a sudden this blessing comes out of nowhere because it wasn't like, it's impromptu in some sense. And it's like unexpected. It just happens. But really and truly, you've been looking for it the whole time. It's what you needed. It's what you wanted. It's like jumping into a plunge pool that's like 40 degrees. You know what I mean? Like, this is freezing. But then you get out and you realize all of that inflammation in your joints start to go down. You're like, man, this is so refreshing, right? It's like getting in a cold shower, because you didn't realize that the hot water wasn't working for some reason. And you're like, man, cold showers are pretty cool, right? And so it's these unexpected things that literally change your perspective on life. Here's another one. Moments make memories. Absolutely, right? But meaning makes the bond, right? Moments make memories, but it's the meaning that seals the deal. It helps us to remember that moment, right? It's when someone confided in you. It's when somebody shared something with you. It's when someone laughed and joked with you about something from back in the days and they reminded you of something so funny. It may have been painful back then, but it was funny at that moment today, right? And you're like, man, it's those memories. It's the meaning behind them that makes the bond. It wasn't what happened, but, it's what it revealed, right? At the end of the day. Like a child's graduation or a surprise birthday party, or like I said earlier, a funeral, or maybe just a holiday that didn't work out so well. Maybe everybody showed up to the wrong location at the party, but then a few people made it. And then you realize this was meant just for these few people. This is what we needed more than anything, right? So everything works out and it comes back together, right? Here's another one. Emotionally impactful experiences increase long-term relational trust, according to Gottman, up to 60 or 80%, right? Long-term relationships, the trust is like developed in these type of emotionally impactful experiences, right? So it's almost like you got to just go with the flow. You got to know that everything works for your good. I like Romans 8:28. All things work for the good of those who love the Lord according to his will and purpose for their lives, right? It's like all things. So if you have expectation that it's already worked out, then you have nothing to worry about, right? Here's another point. Release your agenda to receive a gift. Yeah, let go of your agenda. Recently my boys that I meet with every morning, we do, time together, reflect, prayer, read scripture. And one thing that they brought up was like just brothers getting together, no agenda, going to a lake, maybe fish or just hang out and just, cook, share some stories and, just let men be men, be transparent, be vulnerable, and I love that because I'm a part of a couple of men's group and that's what we do. They say iron sharpens iron. That's what happens. Men, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to let your guard down just a little bit, get rid of the scripts. You don't have to be perfect. Just be yourself. That's what happens at. That's where it happens at. We often miss these moments because we're trying to control the narrative. I don't know about you. Like, I'm tired of controlling the narrative. I'm tired of trying to be in control of something that was already written for my life. All I got to do is pay attention. All I got to do is pray. All I got to do is, show some empathy for other people. All I got to do is allow what's in me to come out, because really there's like this side of me that I'm trying to make come out. And then this side of me that was created to come out. And the problem is we ended up suppressing the side that was created to come out because we want to bring out the side that we want to come out. And it ain't working. I don't think it's working for anybody, right? Right? In the total release journey that I believe in, restoration is key to valuable relationships. If you're broken, you go into broken relationships. If you're broken, you take good relationships that could have been good and you end up breaking them, right? Hurt people. You ever heard that before? Right? So it's that thing that we need to really and truly examine, that people begin to see their self-worth when, they start to overlook all of these things that are important to them and focus on the things that really are important to other people. And I'm not saying deny yourself to the point where, it's like win for them, lose for you. I mean, your value is tied to, where your heart is. So if your heart isn't right, then you got to work on you. Once you get your heart in a good place, share it with other people. Pour into other people. Don't hold it for yourself. Let it go. And just sometimes just go with the flow, because you know who you are at the end of the day when you're operating in that. You know who you are. Sometimes we need a divine interruption, though, to remind us of who we are, to value who we were, who's right in front of us, right? Divine interruption. It could be the person you're looking at, sleeping with, the person that you drive to school every day, the person that you work with next to at your desk, whoever it is, right? Sometimes it takes divine interruption so that you can value yourself, value others, and more importantly, value God. So sometimes the relationship wasn't just broken. It was just waiting to remind you. You know what I mean? It's like, ding. Oh, that's right. It's time to wake up. Life isn't fairy tales all the time, right? You got to get real. Sometimes you got to get real, right? Just one night, one hug, one conversation, one good laugh. You ever had a good laugh where you just make yourself laugh, right? You just crack up. You're in stitches. It's like, you ever laugh with somebody for real, though? You're laughing, and it's like, where does this deep laughter come from? When it's like, we're laughing so hard, you can't, you feel like you're going to cry, right? Women have another issue, right? It's like, we can't hold it. And so where does that come from? It's relationship. It's being with people. It's like going with the flow, just letting your guard down just a little bit. We don't have to be so stoic. We don't have to be, my wife and my kids tell me that sometimes my kids' friends or in the past, they were afraid to approach me. They said I always had a serious look on my face. So like, I'm trying to be more aware of that and be intentional about smiling and laughing more. And they don't know, it's not like I really felt that way. It's not like on the inside I felt that way. It was just, I don't know, maybe I've been programmed. My face just looks serious when I'm not laughing or smiling, right? But it's not intentional. It's not like to chase people away, right? Anyway, so here's another statistic, right? 64% of estranged family members reconcile through shared moments rather than counseling or intervention. It's like, if we get together, spend time together, break bread, eat some food together, go bowling, it's like, man, you know what? You're not that bad after all. I spent the last 20 years not liking you, and all it took was one night of bowling. All it took was one night to say, hey, remember what happened 20 years ago? I apologize if that's what you thought, but I didn't mean it that way. I was just going through a tough moment in life, is what usually happens. People get the real story, because for 20 years, we tend to walk around with this narrative about what's going on or what we think is going on, just to realize we had it all wrong, right? And so at the end of the day, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful. I remember last year, I was like, man, it was my 50th birthday, and I did not want to go anywhere except for New York. I wanted to go to New York. That's where I originally grew up at, Long Island. I wanted to spend time in that area, and I wanted to take my wife and the kids, everybody. But we had graduations last year. We had the trip to Costa Rica, which they wanted me to go, and it's kind of like, we'll do New York another time. And I was like, no, I really want to do New York. I was willing to kind of like sacrifice Costa Rica. Now, let me tell you something. I'm so glad I went to Costa Rica. It was like, I've never been there. My wife had been there already. The kids had been there, but I hadn't been there. Daniel and I, the youngest, we hadn't been there, but the others had gone. And so we got there. It turned out to be one of the greatest trips ever. It took so much stress off of me. Just doing things, these excursions, meeting people that I had not met before. And it was like a trip with some other, another group. And so we had a great time. Like, the engagement, the interaction, the conversations. I remember thinking I had no stress for those 11 days, or I think it was 9 or 11 days. I can't remember. There was no stress. Like, all my anxiety and hypertension and the stuff that I was dealing with sometimes back home, it was like gone. And even when I got back home, it was gone for like the next, like 3 or 4 months. And on top of that, I still went to New York. It all worked out, right? And I remember thinking, like, we was having like little mechanical problems with a vehicle before we left. And I remember thinking, like, man, I got to deal with this when I get back home. But while we were in Costa Rica, it was just an amazing trip. From the zip lining to jumping off a 75-foot ledge backwards to, swimming in the I think it's the Serapiki River. And it was just amazing. It was just amazing. I had such a great time. The food was amazing. And if anybody knows me, I love Caribbean food, even though we weren't always in the Caribbean side on the trip. But, the plantains and the beans and the rice and the food was amazing. So I had a great time. And I wouldn't trade it for any other thing in the world. So a lot of times what you don't want to do is usually what you need to do. It's usually where you get strong. It's where your relationships grows. It's where you get healed. And so, don't underestimate the power of shared moments, right? Don't underestimate the power of doing something different. Value is revealed in the unexpected. Healing is often hidden in the unplanned. It's like sometimes it doesn't have to be by script all the time, right? And I just want to let you know, total release isn't about perfection. It's really about just being present. So I challenge you today to consider, consider one relationship you've been unsure about, right? What if this week, instead of waiting for the perfect time, you allow something unexpected to happen, right? Instead of just waiting for the perfect time, you allowed something. Just allow something unexpected to happen. Just allow it, accept it, receive it, right? Or do something like send the invite to a person that you normally really wouldn't invite. Maybe there's an issue between you. Invite them anyway. Or show up to the event that you didn't feel like going to. Let the unplanned moment just do what it do. Let it do its work. So I challenge you to do that today. If this video helped you in any kind of way, if you see value in it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Join our movement. We're trying to help people become totally released. And if you really see value, share it with somebody else. This is Daniel Shorter. Thank you for joining the Total Release. God bless. See you tomorrow.